Hey guys, my name's Dave Goodyear. I'm here at the homestead of Flat Rock. Before we get into today's video, I just want to mention a few bookkeeping items. It means a lot to us to have you as a subscriber. You know, we kind of want to build our channel, and we got a lot of stuff coming, including the food forest and adding on, you know, permaculture stuff on our property, as well as, well, today's video, which is going to be about garlic. So we typically plant hardneck varieties of garlic here in Newfoundland. Other varieties can be grown, but hardnecks are done in the fall. And there's always one thing that really, I guess, bugs me about hardneck garlic, and that's peeling all these cloves. You know, in the past, I've only maybe propagated, let's say, 200 heads in my own garden. But this year is going to be quite a different year. We have a project that we call the Garlic Project, and you can actually follow along, I guess, in that project. I'm going to post, I guess, the link to that down below, and I'll also link it here in the video. So the Garlic Project is a partnership between, I guess, 3 people, and the homestead of Flat Rock is one of them. And we're going to grow lots of garlic, and we have 13-14 different varieties, and some of them are kind of the mainstay ones, like Music, which is what I'm holding here, and some other uncommon varieties. And we're also going to be looking at propagating what's called Newfoundland Heritage, which is a rocambole type garlic, and Newfoundland Tall, which is a porcelain, and it's called Newfoundland Tall because it gets really tall, and the heads of garlic are huge. And those are heritage varieties that have been here for some time, but they've kind of fallen out of favor for other varieties, and I'm not really entirely sure why that is, but we're planning on bringing them back. So we have about 10,000 or so bulbils that we planted, and we lost some of them from attrition and whatnot, but for the most part we had good yields, and I think that we have maybe 7,500 to 8,000 rounds that will actually get planted out in our field, which is practically ready in the fall. Now we also have ordered quite a bit of, you know, seed garlic, and there's a bunch of different varieties there also, so they will be used to propagate full heads of garlic next year. So we have a lot of garlic to actually pull apart so that we can plant all these individual cloves. There are ways to kind of, you know, separate these mechanically, but this year, you know, the plan is that between 3 of us, we're actually going to unwrap all of these and get all the individual cloves on each one, which is a lot of garlic. I think there's maybe 3,000 cloves or something, so it's a lot of heads of garlic to peel apart. So when I first started doing this a couple years back, you know, I found it it was quite irritating, you know, trying to figure out the best way to go about separating these. So, you know, I just used to kind of pop them apart like so, and you know, there's a bit of work to it getting all of them apart like this. Now that didn't take too long, maybe 10 seconds to get all those apart. But when you got 1,000, maybe 2,000 heads of garlic to break apart, 10 seconds is actually quite a large amount of time. There's actually an easier way. So when we process our garlic, we always leave this nub on the top. Now, a lot of people cut it pretty short. It was left long on these to test out a technique that I had seen another garlic grower do, and basically they use this in order to actually pop their head of garlic. So popping the head of garlic using this is actually a little bit of a trick. So what you have to do is you have to hold the head of garlic upside down, and you hold it so that the roots are sticking out between the 2 fingers, and you're giving it a firm grip almost like a baseball. And this piece here is pointing out, and you see it's fairly long. And the idea is that in the matter of, let's say, a quick wrap downwards, you can push this thing or pop it right off, I guess, the connection to the cloves. I'm going to get a close-up view of me whacking it so you see actually what happens when you force that hard neck scape down so it pops this. All right, so I'm ready. Pop this in your hand. So you imagine that, you know, you can load these up into your hand pretty quick. You're grabbing them from a bucket. You're pushing them in your hand. My head of garlic is now completely blown apart by that one wrap. So this, which is the same result, took me 10 seconds. This took me maybe 2 seconds to load up. Took me maybe a second to get ready and another second to pop it. So in 5 seconds, I can have that. So I've decreased my time now to get these garlic into clove form by a factor of 2, right? So I've decreased my time to a half. So that's pretty impressive. So, I mean, as quickly as you can grab them from the bucket, load them in your hand and pop them, pull them all apart, throw them in the bucket. So you're talking about basically 5 seconds using, I guess, the whack and unwrap method, compared to maybe 8 to 10 seconds for the pulling apart. Now, sometimes when you go to pull them apart, they're actually not really easy to pull apart, but they definitely take longer than actually whacking this scape stem back through the head of garlic. So the question is what happens? Do you damage the garlic? I guess that would be, one of the questions that people might ask. So the root base on the garlic itself actually feeds through to where the individual cloves actually connect to the roots. Luckily, the structure inside of the clove actually forms a whole new set of roots. So where this actually connects onto the actual, I guess, scape with the root, if that's disconnected, it doesn't matter. This is the portion here that forms a new root. And if you, I guess, whack it and unwrap it, or if you pull it apart, the end result is exactly the same. Popping them is a lot quicker. All right, so what's the difference in time between the whack and unwrap method or the crack apart and unwrap method? Well, if we're looking at a differential of, let's say, 5 seconds per head, and we have 1,000 heads, that's 5,000 seconds. And given that there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, you're actually looking at saving almost a full hour and a half unwrapping time, which is pretty impressive. So rather than this operation taking you, let's say, 3 hours, now it's only going to take you an hour and a half, which is pretty good. I would much rather only take an hour and a half doing this than, I guess, doing it with the kind of pull apart and unwrap method. Time is of the essence, and I figure that if I can save 5 seconds on a head of garlic and I have thousands of them, it's well worth my time. So for you guys doing this in your garden, it may not save a whole lot of time, but it will save you the aggravation of having to pull apart, I guess, each clove. And to tell you the truth, sometimes I find that as you're pulling them, you actually damage the wrapper on the clove itself. Using the whack method, your cloves never ever come into contact with anything other than the force of your hand pushing, I guess, the scape through. And you know, the root base on the cloves tend to be pretty hard and fibrous. My feeling is that you would end up with more damaged cloves trying to pull them apart than you would actually whack them apart. If I were you, I would try it, see what you think. Leave comments below and let me know how it works for you, because it works great for me. And from here on in, this is the only way that I will use in order to get my garlic cloves ready for the garden, which is coming up within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Anyway, good luck in your garden with your garlic. Test out the Whack and Unwrap. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for following along. Once again, I'm Dave Goodyear. I'm here at the homestead at Flat Rock. You can reach out and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FR_homestead, Facebook at the Homestead at Flat Rock, and well, YouTube, you're already here at the Homestead at Flat Rock. Thanks for joining me.